Sorry? Not 30. 2070. Perfect. India would be a net zero emission country by 2070. Now, if you look at that to happen, multiple engines need to be fired, not the ICE engines, but different kinds of engines. What are those engines? Number one, our dependency on fossil fuels needs to convert into renewables that we are right now. Number two, our mobility, again, which is dependent on fossil fuels, need to convert into green. And most importantly, not just these, but India at one point of time also needs to become a global powerhouse or a manufacturing house, not just a global market. If we were to put all of these things together, right, that's the dream that we want to achieve, 2070. Let's look at what's happening now. All the core engineering branches in the engineering colleges are being shut down. You are aware, right? Mechanical, electrical, civil, etc. are being shut down. For example, a college of 2,000 students as a members, 1,500 students would be computer science and allied sectors. The same syllabus, IT, machine learning, computer science, right? Different names, but it's the same syllabus. So we are talking about, on one hand, the core engineering coming down. On the other hand, of course, the IT, which is of course important, is going up. But if you look at the 2070 as a future, the IT and then the other internet and internet of things and other things would definitely play a role, but then the role that they play is limited. Majority of the role, I mean, things needs to be built, things needs to be installed, things needs to be commissioned, things needs to be, I would say, executed, and that cannot just happen through computers. The reason why I'm sharing these particular statements is, as you rightly mentioned, the need for education, the need for awareness, the need for acknowledgement that we were to transition from an economy based on fossil fuel to an economy based on green energies is at its peak right now. For example, India as a whole graduates only 1.5 million engineers per year, all put together. If you add ITI, diploma and other things, probably the number goes up to 2 million engineers. Now look at the recent report released by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog says, if India were to reach the goal of 33% of electric vehicle penetration by 2030, India needs 100 million hands on the deck. That means 50 million jobs to be working in the green sector alone. Look at this, we are in 2024 now, 2030 is hardly 5 to 6 years away from here, and then we are only graduating 1.5 million engineers per year, of which 60 to 70% is all fascinated about MS, IT, US, abroad, all that stuff. And then the demand there is 50 million engineers. Now this cannot, the goal of 2070 India being a net zero emission cannot happen without these 100 million hands on the deck. I'm sure you all agree, right? The cycle always repeats. Very soon we are going to find days where a pure embedded firmware engineer or a power electronics engineer or a mechanical design engineer or an engineer or a diploma who works on the assembly of the vehicle would generally be paid more than a software engineer, for a simple reason that too much demand, right, and too less supply. So very thankful to the governments and different think tanks, for they have started focusing. So far we only had, at one point of time, Automotive Sector Skill Council was only focusing on the automobiles and then the assembly of the automobile components. But now people are talking about electric vehicles assembly, people are talking about electric vehicle service engineers. For example, if you look at PQ, which is led by Prashant, PQ before transitioning into electric vehicles had 2,500 petrol vehicles on the road. Then one gentleman asked him a question, if 2,500 vehicles are on the road and your goal is to increase it by 10x, are you going to choke us and kill us even without coronavirus, right? That's when he made a decision that he is going to transition all his two-wheelers into electric. Now here is the catch. If so many number of two-wheelers are to be converted into electric, do you think we have enough service technicians to service those vehicles? For example, electric vehicles can communicate. Like the way we say, I have a headache, I have a stomach pain, right? My things are not working. An EV can communicate. For example, Mr. Sinha has mentioned, right, that without even interacting with us, they interact with the BMS, understand the state of charge of the battery, estimate whether the range is capable enough to be covered by this battery, and the minute the BMS stops sending signal and his support system gets onto the road. So the electric vehicles can actually communicate. Do you think our roadside mechanics at this point of time have the ability and capability to understand their language and repair and service them? No. We need new breed of engineers who are not just mechanical, who are not just working with spanners and hammers and hit and make vehicles work, but who can understand their language and who can accordingly diagnose and then control. That is number one. Number two, to talk about the solar commissioning, right? Again, my friend Shiva mentioned about different mega projects that they are talking about. But again, very few hands who actually understand solar. Now, in the recent budget before the elections also, there was so much emphasis on solar, and in fact, the statement was made to a certain extent that no household needs to pay electricity bill. In fact, every household would be a net energy positive when it is connected to the grid. So when the policies, the government, the business, I would say models, and the entire ecosystem is inching and focusing for such kind of a revolutionary transition, if those are not rightly backed up by enough skill resources, that is going to be a handicap, that is going to make the entire nation a handicap. So at this point of time, I would like to, I would say, conclude the answer that yes, skill plays a very, very important role. In fact, I must appreciate Mr. Abhijit Sinha, because while he is the president of the Charge Point Operators Association, he is right now in this particular current era, he is bringing a special voice only for skill in the CPOs, right? And those microeconomic points that you're talking about, I'm sure they will also be centers of excellence which will educate the youth there, which will provide them the possible employment as well as an entrepreneurial opportunities, right?
It's a huge channel, and it's a huge challenge also, that we have to channelize a lot of people into this tech, and then we'll be able to have enough power, manpower, skill, power, knowledge in this sector. But glad what you heard from Rajeev, I'm glad to take a sense of response from all of you. Is that